Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Is it Monday? I feel like it's Monday. But I really don't know if it's Monday. Yes, it's Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Really quickly, I've changed my camera around. If I'm too in your face, I apologize. I kind of like it. I kind of like being closer. Also, please change your live chat from top chat to live chat. That way you can see the most recent comments in the chat. This video is going to come with an automatic trigger warning. We're going to be covering AWP owner, AWP Adventures with Purpose. They are a YouTube channel, have over like 2 million followers from my understanding. They are the team that found Kail Rodney. She went missing. I think she's 16 years old. She was hanging out with some friends out in Truckee, and she went missing, and Adventures with Purpose stepped in and they went and found her. That's when I got to know who Adventures with Purpose was, and got to be familiar with Jared. And let me tell you guys, I've become extremely like a huge fan of their channel. I'm not a fan, like a fan of many channels. Like I like channels, but I become such a huge fan of their channel. When I watched them, with the Kail Rodney case, and I really just fell in love with their channel, fell in love with the guys on the channel, and I felt like they had a really big heart to do the things that they were doing, and from my understanding, volunteering, and that everything that was made through revenue of the channel being put right back into the team, buying better equipment, things such as that, so they can keep it moving, right? So I've become a huge fan of the channel. Jared, obviously, this is Jared. He is 46 years old. I do want to say that everything that we are going to say is allegations. It is not proved to be true. AWP is a great group. They found Nicholas Allen very close to my home. That name keeps coming up. But anyways, these are allegations. And right now, he is, as everyone is, innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. So we are not accusing this man or saying that he actually is guilty. We are going to go over the allegations against him. You can make up your own mind. But he will have to face a judge with these allegations. Also, please do not send hate to AWP. Exactly. Like I said, they do have a YouTube channel, but from my understanding, Jared has not been on the YouTube channel. I think they said since September. He stopped appearing in videos. Is that correct? When I heard that, I was like, really? Because I could have swore he was on like one of the more recent ones that I watched. So either way, please do not send hate to anyone. I want to remind you guys, despite how guilty someone can look, and I'm not saying that these victims are lying. I don't think that they're lying at all. But I do want to say, despite how guilty someone can look, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are. I mean, I was arrested back in 2019, and everything for my charges looked like I was guilty, and I was not. So sometimes, things happen. However, there are emails that have come out on Reddit. One of the victims is one of his cousins, and there is a court date. It's November 30th. That is on a Wednesday. So some emails popped up on Reddit, and it was a conversation between one of his victims, who was his cousin, as well as, Jared. And it was through the AWP support email. So a lot of people are going to say, well, didn't he admit it? Now, he could say something along the lines of, those are fake emails. I didn't write that. Someone else checked it and responded, or it's just fake altogether. From my understanding, he has not come out to say anything. He has not come out to say, yes, I wrote those emails, and that is me, and I did X, Y, Z, or no, I haven't, and those emails are not from me. He has not come out to say that. His alleged victims. If you know someone, if you or someone you know are a survivor, please speak up. Right now, a cousin is speaking up, has spoken up. She's the one that kind of, really started pushing this out there. And she said she's actually been trying to kind of get this out there for a while now, but nobody would really pick it up and cover this. After that, his sister came out. Now, they did an interview on Down the Rabbit Hole, and I have that link. They did an interview. It was a very short interview, and I do have all the highlights of what they said written down. And Mail did ask them, are there other victims? Right. I was arrested, but I was not indicted. So let me Let me be clear with that. Right, that's true. So Ikemel did ask them, are there other victims? And the cousin said yes. And they are calling her Hero. She is being called Hero due to bringing this to the forefront. So Hero said, yes, there are other victims, but, you know, if they decide to come out, that is them. It's not me. I don't want to name them. It wouldn't be my place to name them. And they may not be ready to come out and share what happened to them. So first, what we're going to do is Jared has this like bio page, which is, I don't know, it's like who I am and what's my story. If you don't mind a bit of reading, and since you asked, I'll tell you. So he gives like his whole life story starting in 1975. Says my story. It's pretty lengthy, so we'll just kind of hit the highlights, and then we'll go into what everything else that is going on. I just have to say, y'all, I experienced something so similar to this. I started being abused at 6 years old by a male cousin, and not only did he abuse me, but he abused every female cousin in my family on that side of my family. It was me, my two siblings, as well as 4 cousins on that side of the family. He abused every one of us anytime he got the opportunity. He would stay at our house, and, you know, our parents didn't know what was going on. And so I've always thought of this man, and I'm gonna put my story out there a little bit, and I know you guys didn't ask for it. So my story is, at 6 years old, my male cousin, who was he is 5 years older than me. Yeah, so he was about 11 or so. He was not raised by his parents. He was raised by our grandmother. And so he would stay at a lot of our houses. He would stay, you know, at our house. He ended up moving in with my other grandparents when he was about 15. And they had a younger daughter who was 1 year older than me, or 2 years older than me. And it got to the point where she would sleep with a knife at night because she was so terrified of him coming back into the room. And like I said, I always liked Jared. But then when I hear these stories, it makes me think of him in the light that I think of my cousin. And I cannot stand the sight of my cousin because it kind of disgusts me. It puts this pit in my stomach. You know, it brings back memories of what he did to not only me, but, you know, my siblings and my cousins, and how he really ruined our childhood. Anytime we went to that side of the family and knew we had to be around him, you know, we were so uncomfortable, and it was just so stressful. And, you know, our parents didn't know for a long time, so they didn't know to keep him away from us. So he would, you know, when we would be around, he would ask my parents, hey, Uncle so-and-so, can I stay the night with y'all, you know? And they didn't think anything about it. So he was around a lot, and it happened a lot. So anyways, the way I've always looked at my cousin is in disgust, you know? And I think even though he's a grown man now, there's no way I think he's changed. There's no way I think that he's not the pervert that he was back then. I mean, how can you abuse so many of your relatives and change? I don't know. I just don't see it. So it definitely made me see Jared in a different light because, like I said, I liked him. I thought he was a really good guy. So we're going to go over a little bit of this. This is just a little bit of his story. Let's see. It's really weird because on his bio, you guys, it starts off saying, I live my life as an open book with no skeletons. That's literally the first line of his bio is, I live my life with no skeletons. I live my life as an open book with no skeletons. It's really wild. Did my cousin ever have consequences? He was never arrested per se, but he had a daughter. He got married to my husband's cousin, no less. It's really wild. He got married to my husband Sean's cousin, female cousin, and they had a daughter, and we ended up telling her about it because we got worried that he could potentially do something to his daughter, considering that he did something to every one of us. And not only that, but he even tried to mess with my mom at one point. When he got a little older, he tried to mess with my mom when he was about 19 years old. And he told my mom, he said, well, it doesn't matter. You're not my aunt anymore. You were, you were just my aunt by marriage. So it doesn't matter. And my mom was like, what? No, I've been your aunt since the day you were born. And just because I'm not married to your uncle anymore doesn't mean that I'm not your aunt. So after after they got a divorce, his daughter did not want to go to his house anymore. So we stepped in and we went to court with them to say, this is what he did to us. We're not saying he did this or he's doing this to his daughter, but there was a reason why she didn't want to go over there. I mean, his daughter would have anxiety attacks and cry and not want to go see her dad. So her mom didn't make her, and he was going to try to, hold her in contempt of court and everything. So she said, listen, I don't think you want to do that because I know what you did to your cousins, and we're going to go to court and they're going to tell their story. So that's basically what happened is the day that we were going to court, I couldn't go because I was in Georgia with Sean because he was about to be deployed. But my siblings and some of my cousins went, and he ended up just saying, okay, never mind. When he's seen them in court with his ex-wife, he said, okay, never mind. I don't need to see her. And she has not seen her dad. And she is now 19 years old, and she has not seen her dad since she was about, I don't know, maybe 4. So allegedly, okay, so Jared is 46 years old now. 46, yeah. So this happened allegedly when he was 16 or 17 years old. But in the emails, he does say something about him being 12. But he was, if you do the simple math, he was not 12. So in this bio, I'll link it below. You guys read the whole thing because it's pretty lengthy. But he says, I live my life as an open book with no skeletons. If someone wants to know something about me, just ask. I care about people and their feelings. I always wanted to encourage and uplift, but know that if you ask me something, I'll always be honest and direct. It may hurt your feelings at times, but know that I don't want to beat around the bush. You'll always know where I stand. Some of you have found this page after searching my name, Jared Leisek, or Jared Ray Leisek. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that last name right, and want to determine if I'm worthy of your trust, your friendship, your time, and or your business. We live in a digital age, and I have nothing to hide, so sit back and let me share my story. I'll touch on my childhood, my marriage, my homeless experience, success, failures, and yes, I will even share that time I was investigated by the SEC back in 2011. So he goes over, the beginning, broken home, multiple marriages for both parents. He was in foster care at the age of 9. I think I just burped a little bit. Excuse me. He was in foster care at the age of 9. Often wondering why the new children and stepkids were put on a pedestal, and often he was left feeling abandoned. His grandparents finally stepped in, took him into their home. This is the time in my life which I learned proper hygiene, how to cook, clean, iron, how to love and be loved. I can't say I was always good for them, nor did I always stay out of trouble, but without them, I don't think I would have had the fighting chance for whom I become today. I thank and love my grandparents for the chance, the change, and the opportunities they provided me. Now, at his grandparents is where, from my understanding, a lot of this abuse took place, because he would be, at his grandparents, and then his cousins would come over because he lived with his grandparents. His cousins would come over, and he would, you guys, the allegations are not just like SA, but it is R. He R'd them, like forceful. It was forceful. I will say parenting does not come with a handbook. We can't choose our parents, but we do choose to be parents. So be the best parent you can be. While you can't change history, you can learn from your mistakes and the mistakes of others, making a change for the future. So he talks about high school. Basically in high school, he had like a one-night stand at one point. He also did this little experiment where he went around, he made this application for if you want to date me, and gave it to a bunch of girls that he, kind of liked. He did it as a joke, but one of the girls filled it out, and it was one of the girls that he really liked. So she gave it back to him, and he was kind of stunned that she gave it back to him. So he asked her on a date. Lo and behold, she kind of filled it back out as a joke. It wasn't necessarily because she really liked him, but she did end up giving him the chance, and they went out on a date, and they ended up getting married or whatever. He ended up dropping out of school. His journey took him to Grenada in the Bahamas, other parts of America. He ran out of money, so became homeless, sleeping in parks, bushes, hotel stairways. He sold perfume door to door, never making enough money, where he didn't have to depend on soup kitchens, wandering hotel halls looking for room service leftovers. And he says, yes, he's even eating out of garbage cans. The reason I am kind of going over a lot of this with you guys is because sometimes our childhood has that effect on us. When you don't have the best parents, it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse it, but it could potentially have the effect, have certain effects on us. I asked Elle if her cousin ever had, oh, yes. This is where he talks about application to date Jarek. So him and his girlfriend dated a year and a half, graduated high school together, married that summer. 20 years later, I guess they're still together. I can't think of a better person to have by my side. She's my best friend. I enjoy our weekly dates, the way she looks at me, the laughter, and our time together. So he also talks about how, like I said, he had this one night stand, and a daughter came out of that. He don't have a relationship with said daughter. Um, Back in high school, I had a fling, and I'd always suspected I might have a daughter out there. When she was 5, I pushed for a paternity test and was happy to hear that she was mine and she would blend into our family. However, you can only imagine how I would feel thinking you are the child's father only to learn you are not. So her stepfather became vindictive and swore I would never get a chance in helping raise her. I can't say I blame him for what he did in keeping me from her. She tracked me down in secret near the end of her high school years, and it was so great having a relationship with her. She wanted answers, but was never satisfied with my response. She felt I didn't try and fight hard enough for her, despite the stack of court documents I've kept through the years. There's a hole in my heart for not being a part of her life. My heart hurts that she asked I not attend her graduation. My heart hurts that she not invite me to her wedding. My heart hurts that I have a grandson in this world who I've only get to see grow up through pictures and videos. It hurts that she and her husband don't respond to my texts or emails. For the time being, I've given up on reaching out as to not drive her further away and wait patiently for the day she asked me back into her life. She can't understand how I loved her, but as a father, you always love your child regardless of the lack of time you get to see them throughout the years. He talks about his hobbies: scuba diving, disc golf. One hobby that he talks about almost daily is powered paragliding. I guess he has a video channel where he does that. I never saw that on AWP, so I don't know. He also talks about he was a day trader, how he got into the business of day trading, and he thought it was exciting, how he can go from making turning $3,000 into $250,000 in just a few months. But he hated the idea of losing, so he started profiling, and he made his own little business where essentially, let me read it because I don't want to tell you guys wrong. It was a losing that didn't sit well with me, and I thought to myself, what if I knew what stocks these websites were going to profile ahead of time? I started doing research on SEC regulations and found that if I recommended stocks, I had to be licensed with the SEC. However, I found that if I simply profiled stocks by not telling others to buy or sell, but simply profiling and reporting my research on what I deemed a good, valuable company, then I was within the written SEC code. So I set out my first website adventures in early in 2000, building 2 websites, gained followers through Yahoo messaging boards, and began profiling my own stock picks. Yes, I bought stocks in thinly traded companies. Yes, I told friends and family to buy the stock. And yes, we often sold these stocks within minutes after profiling our stock picks on our website and to other day traders. What a rush it is turning $3,000 into $250,000 in just a few months. One day, FedEx showed up at my door with papers from the SEC stating that I was being investigated as part of a nationwide crackdown on hundreds like me who were running similar websites in a space and time where there were not specific SEC rules regulating our activities within the internet and day trading becoming new. Some were simply profiling as I was, while others were flat out making recommendations to buy and sell, which was already written in stone and was illegal if one was not a licensed broker. In the end, I received a slap on the wrist and told not to profile stocks on such websites. No actual charges were ever filed, no fines, just an investigation that led me to better understanding the newly formed laws and new interpretation of existing SEC rules. Of course, I complied with the request and I'm free to trade stocks to this day. It was a defining moment in history as the SEC has written new laws and rules and regulations to help protect the new breed of online traders that follow. Talks about bankruptcy. He went into bankruptcy, real estate, putting America back to work, accidental hobby business, reflecting at 40, being remembered. So all of this, like I said, I'll link in the description box below so you guys can read that. But he has a pretty lengthy criminal history. I was pretty shocked, not gonna lie. I was pretty shocked when I saw his criminal history. Let me find it. I mean, it was 2 pages. His criminal history is literally 2 pages. Hope you guys can see this. No, my luck, you're not going to be able to. Okay, we'll come back to that later because it's not letting you guys see it. I saved so many photos to I saved a ton of photos to my computer, but I don't know how to get them to show them to you guys once I save them. Like I can bring them up, but for some reason it doesn't show them. It's really strange. But anyways, I want to show you guys his criminal record, and then I think I know a way to pull it up anyways. And then we're going to get into all this craziness, right? That is like, holy smackaroos. Cece, did you send his criminal record in all those screenshots that you sent me in the group message? Did you send... He has literally 2 pages. I'll read it off to you guys. It's probably better that I read it off to you guys rather than whoops, wrong one. Rather than say it out loud, because I don't know if that's against some sort of privacy situation. Okay, really quickly. All of these are old, right? 1997. Pointing a firearm at another. He got charged with that twice. 2 different charges on the same day, but it's got different case numbers, so I'm not really sure. Maybe he pointed at 2 people and they both pressed charges. I'm not exactly sure. FTA on citation, 93. FTA on citation, repealed, renumbered. Reckless driving, weapon use unlawful. Violating the basic speed rule. Carry, use dangerous weapon, unlawful use of a weapon. Attempt to commit a Class A misdemeanor. Attempt A/misdemeanor. Unauthorized use of a vehicle. Unauthorized use of a vehicle. FTA on citation. Reckless driving. Fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer. False swearing. Menacing. Pointing a firearm at another. Oh. Violation of basic rule, reckless driving, attempt to elude police, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, fish and game violation, exceed max, repeal or renumbered, DWS/violation, exceed maximum speed, DWS infraction, Biomax SP, repealed, renumbered, OPR, motor vehicle, no driver's license, max speed rule, interstate, unlawful or unsigned turn, CR, petty theft, weapon use unlawful. These start from like 92 to 97. And then you have, it all popped up on Reddit. So that's where we're going to kind of, I saved every one of these things and they're not letting me show you guys. That's really, just love that when that happens. So his victim, who we will just call Hero because she's not coming out with her name yet. She says she's not really there yet where she wants to put her name out there. Because essentially what happened, AWP isn't just Jared and all the work shouldn't be disregarded. I do agree with that. Here's the thing that I was thinking about this morning when I was doing my makeup. They have given a lot of people peace. You know what I'm saying? People that's family members have been missing for 25 years. That law enforcement didn't do their due diligence to find or just somehow overlooked. So, and they were able to give these families peace. Whatever his intents could be, is it possible that Jared feels so bad about what he did? And I don't know, that maybe that's why he made a career in a way that he gives back and he helps people. I'm not sure. I do go back to thinking about my abuser, and I'm like, yeah, my abuser would never do anything like that. Jared does own AWP, but there are a lot of people with AWP. So it started up on Reddit. I wanted to go in a particular order. Let's see. This is the case. It is rape of a child, first degree felony. And the offense date is October 1st, 1992. Champaign County, mandatory appearance. The second charge, rape of a child, first degree felony. Offense date, January 1st, 1992, Champaign County. Mandatory appearance. Current assigned judge, plaintiff, state of Utah, represented, whose attorney is defendant Jared. Defendant's name, date of birth, officer who's working this. All of this is all over Reddit. It's already been put on other YouTube channels, so I'm not putting anything out there that hasn't been put out there already. Essentially, what happened is his victim, his cousin, right? So his cousin, when she went forward and told family, she was basically kind of shunned from the family. When she got older, she never wanted to hang out with the family or be around the family if Jared was going to be there. Like, she would get calls and say, hey, do you want to come to, the family reunion? And she would say, is Jared going to be there? And if he was going to be there, she would not come. She would not go there. So essentially, she was not super close to her family because they accepted Jared. Jared basically gave her mother a watered down version of what took place. Like, yes, I did it, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what it really was. And her mother hugged him and cried and said, oh, I'm so sorry. Her mother was also abused as a child as well. This is a thing that happened within their family, kind of like a family cycle of her mother, Jared's mother, all being abused, sexually abused, right? So it kind of kept trickling down. And so when she told her mom, and Jared was like, yeah, I did it, but it wasn't, it was just XYZ. The mom hugged him and basically forgave him and basically told, her daughter, like, oh, he's family. We just got to kind of get over it, whatever. So she didn't really have much to do with her family. Now, Jared's sister was extremely shunned from the family. Like, she was, like, pushed out of the family at a very young age. I think she said, like, 14 or something. I don't exactly remember. But she said she was absolutely shunned from the family. And the cousin said, seeing Jared's sister shunned from the family the way that she was, made it scary for her to ever come out and put this so public. But what she said is because she had nothing to do with Jared and not a lot to do with the family, she had no idea that Jared had become this, YouTube sensation, whatever, this hero, basically. And she was waiting to get something, had some time to kill, so she was just, scrolling through Facebook, and she came across that article. She said, I came across that thing. And I think what she's talking about is she's referencing when they found Kylie Rodney. I think she may have come across something about that. And, she said it infuriated her. She turned bright red because she was so mad that now he's being looked at as some sort of hero when he's not a hero. He took a lot from her, So she said it was in that moment. She didn't have an email for Jared, so she looked up AWP and it came with an email. So she emailed Jared. We'll go over those emails in just a little bit. This is court documents, information, criminal number. Once again, it states the charges. Is count 1, rape of child. Let me make this a little bit smaller. It's a lot of information to go over, you guys. So please bear with me. And like I do want to reiterate, you are innocent until proven guilty. I'm not saying that Jared is guilty. I'm not saying these women are lying, so don't twist it as that either. I'm just saying he has to have his day in court. So, count 1, rape of child, first degree felony, and charges that on or between October 1st, 1992 and November 1st, 1992, and within Champaign County, state of Utah, the defendant did have sexual intercourse with a child who was under the age of 14 in violation of Utah code. Count 2, rape of a child, first degree felony, charges on or between January 1st, December 31st, 1992, in the Champaign County, state of Utah. The defendant did have sexual intercourse with a child who was under the age of 14 in violation of Utah code. And this is just simply, uh, I'm really not sure what this is. The event information file. Oh, this is like, I guess, like a printout of everything that's been scanned into the system. Information indictment. So he has been indicted. Um, Case filed by e-file, summons, return to electronic notification, initial appearance, set for, like I said, November 30th. That is on a Wednesday. Summons issued, return to electronic file. And this, you guys, this comes with a huge trigger warning. This is very graphic, so if you are triggered by graphic details of SA, you might want to step out, mute me, come back in about 30 seconds. All right, so statement of probable cause. The defendant and the victim are cousins. Thank you, Melissa. Do you think maybe this is why some police department accounts hesitate to work with him? That could, I don't know if they ever knew anything like this. Nothing was ever filed, so I'm not sure. I don't know how they would know that information unless they looked into who he was somehow, you know? A lot of times, law enforcement don't like people coming into their territory and kind of taking over things. It almost makes them feel like they are, like, in my opinion, I feel like if I was in law enforcement and we searched the water for a missing person and we didn't find it, and then these divers came in, this big YouTube channel came in, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna dive." I'm like, "Do you think I'm not good at my job? Like, no, you don't need to be here. We got this." You know what I'm saying? So I think it was more something along those lines rather than knowing anything about this because nothing was filed, for my opinion. That's just my opinion, Melissa. I could be wrong. But it says the defendant and the victim are cousins, and in 1992, the victim was between 9 and 10 years old. The defendant is 7 years older than the victim. Just before November 1st, 1992, the victim lived in Ephraim, which is located in Sanpete County. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. About this time, the defendant and the victim were in the victim's bedroom when the defendant pinned the victim to the ground, pulled her underwear down, and put his penis in her vagina. During another incident the same year, the defendant and the victims were at their grandparents' house in Manta, where the defendant laid on top of the victim and put his penis in her vagina. The information was obtained for the following witness, Detective Corey Kevin Cribbs, and incident report number. That's super graphic. All these come with trigger warning as well. So this right here, we're about to go over the emails between Jared and Hero. And like I said, she said essentially she was sitting, like, I think she explained it, she's like sitting in her car and she's scrolling through Facebook, not knowing anything about Jared and his success, and she comes across that story. That story I am referencing to maybe the Kylie Rodney case. And it infuriated her that people saw him as some sort of hero when, you know, obviously she don't feel like he's a hero. I would never feel like the man that abused me for many years was a hero. It would make me sick to my stomach if people looked at him that way, knowing what he did to me and many other people. So she emailed him at AWP support. It says, "Do you feel better as a person doing things like this? Does this make you feel like less of a child molesting monster parading around in human skin? There is no forgiveness for what you did to me in my home in Utah, Grandma and Grandpa's house in Las Vegas, and right above Grandma and Grandpa's head in their very own truck. The rest of the family is just about as much to blame as you because they didn't turn you in when they knew better, and I was just a child and did not know better. And yet you're still welcome at family get-togethers or like my grandfather's funeral, the while in the parking lot getting ready to get out of the car and attend, I see your face and become so violently ill I couldn't even attend. I had to drive down the street to the CVS and watch it all via Zoom. All these people may be calling you a hero and saying that you're doing such great things, but we both know the truth about you. And you're obviously not ashamed of your past. But I also am not ashamed of my past. And I have a voice, and I use it as much as I possibly can. Your secrets are not hidden." He responded, same day he responds, and says, "I'm very sorry for the things that we cannot change. It is unfortunate that blank and blank lineage experienced the crap that you and I and many other cousins were brought into." So he's basically saying their family, basically like the Leiseks and the whatever else, the other name they go by or whatever, they experience that. And basically, what he's doing here is he's deflecting the responsibility of what he did. He's not taking accountability. He's putting it off on. Oh, it's unfortunate that coming from a long list of child molesters and rapists, it made me one. That is so unfortunate, and I think that is disgusting for him to say that. Like yourself, I was once a victim by multiple people in both in and out of the family. It was unfortunate when family like ours. It is unfortunate when family like ours experience. If he was a victim, that's sad too. But I don't understand why someone that is a victim, like I could never do this to someone because I knew what it did to me. I knew what it took from me. I remember so vividly laying there, like frozen, like scared, like what do I say? What do I say? Being so incredibly uncomfortable and thinking maybe if I move, he'll get scared that I'm waking up and he'll stop. You know what I'm saying? I could not imagine putting that on someone else. So, here's the rest of it. Many of us cousins got together to acknowledge what had happened in our youth and made a pact to put an end to it and protect our children from anything like that ever happening to them. So this is still Jared. I have myself tried to apologize to you and to have an open conversation with you about it and to answer any questions you may have. The first time I apologized to you, I'm sorry for the way that it was handled, for I was under the impression that our mother knew and that I felt it was appropriate at that time to have the conversation with both of you. I did not mean to embarrass you or catch you off guard. The second time I tried was not to clear my own conscience, but to help you heal and to help with any struggles you may have had, having as many of us had to learn how to overcome and move forward. You essentially told me to go F myself and told me how I embarrassed you for the first time around. I'm sorry. My understanding is that our cousins also tried to have the same conversation with you. So he's basically admitting. Now, keep in mind, he could claim that he didn't write these emails. He could claim that someone else wrote them. He could claim that they're fake. He has not, from my understanding, has not come out yet to claim these emails. So he's basically telling her, like, listen, I've already apologized to my other cousins. They're over it. Like, from my understanding, the other cousins that I did this to, they've tried to have the conversation with you to get you to forgive me. You know, we are all adults now, and it is healthy for us to acknowledge and address those unfortunate circumstances from our past and our child and adolescent years. Uh, while there is a lot of crap that has happened throughout my own life personally, from molestation, abandonment, growing up in foster care, and any other crap along the way, I would not change a thing, for it has made me who I am today. This ticks me off. What the hell are you saying here, Jared? Yeah, I just keep putting myself in my position. Like if this was me having this conversation with my rapist, uh, I would not change a thing, for it has made me who I am. What? I cannot apologize for others for anything that has happened to you in your life, but I've done my best to acknowledge directly with you my own mistakes. I hold no secrets as to this with my own parents and grandma and grandpa, with your mother, aunt blank, and blank, my own wife and children. So basically, he's saying here, like, don't think you're going to out me. I've told everyone, and I'm good. Like, I don't have any secrets. I've told everybody in our family. I've even discussed publicly about my situation and the unfortunate crap that has happened within families. Do we pinpoint it to the Leisek and whatever lineage, or do we pinpoint it to Mormonism? I do not have the answer. There is no way for me to understand the hatred and resentment that you must have for me over 3 decades later. I heard about your driving into the cemetery a few weeks later. Trust me, had I known that you had a desire to be there and that I was keeping you away, I would have 100% given up my time to do what I could to avoid the ceremony so that you could feel comfortable and have your time with grandma and the rest of the family. It is your decision and your choice if you ever want to accept my apology. I made peace with my life with all the things bad, including this situation. How can you make peace with what you did to someone? What you should be saying is, I am so sorry, and I can never be at peace with myself until I know that you forgive me. And your forgiveness is going to have to come on your own terms, but please know that I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And I will not be at peace until I know that you have forgiven me. But that will come when you're ready. And I'm not pressuring you to forgive me. You forgive me whenever you feel like you can. Um, If you ever want to discuss, I'm always available to have that conversation with you in person or over the phone. Let me tell you guys something. I am 34, 35 years old, and I do not want to see my cousin who did this, who abused me. No. So she wrote back the next day. This is her. She said, if you truly want to apologize, then pay for your actions. Walk into a police station with me and confess your actions. Get on the record and have yourself registered as a sex offender that you are. My only regret in life was not being as open about you and your abuse to anyone and everyone who would listen like I am now, and turning you into the police like you should have been. I don't understand how you can try and get me to sympathize with you and your past issues. Not at all. It angers me twice as much to know that not only did you know firsthand the torture you were inflicting upon me because you experienced it yourself, that makes you an even bigger monster than I had even pictured in my mind. Absolutely disgusting. You're an emotional vampire. I noticed all the therapy terms you used in your message. Typical narcissism at its best. How somebody could ever come to peace with damaging such a young, innocent human being is beyond me. Proof of a completely broken mind, assuming that there would be any kind of peace after those types of actions, or that peace should even be deserved. You are a pedophile. Do not act like you were not old enough to know what you were doing to me. During the ages that you were, you could have been tried as an adult at that age, and you should have. And as to the comments about my life and the things that happened to me, I don't know who or why you're even discussing me with anyone, but I can guarantee you that nobody really knows anything because just like your situation, I've kept my mouth shut until recently. And I don't talk to any of the family despite what others, as you say, cousins have come to you and said. So be a real man and turn yourself in and pay for your crimes. Or continue to be the small, sad, mental, I'm not going to say that word, it's a derogatory term, little person that couldn't keep his libido under control and blames it on his past. His response kind of pisses me off here. Also, you guys, this comes with the trigger warning. I'm normally not a cursor. I do not like to curse on my streams. But this one, I may, and I do apologize if I do. He tried to gaslight the hell out of her. Unfortunately, your desire to have a 46-year-old male live the mistakes of a 12-year-old simply is not realistic. Simple math tells you he was about 16 or 17. He was not 12. So he's trying to downplay it, trying to make it out like he was a lot younger than he was. That's not true. Thank God we are not forever judged for our actions as youth. And I'm grateful that many of us cousins acknowledged and stopped those sins which happened to us and those sins we once committed as a result of grooming. It is healthy for you to now be open and talk about the past. You as a full-grown woman in your 40s are to be commended for facing and standing up to those actions which happened to you in your past. Spread awareness and stop the cycle as we cousins within the family have for our own children and grandchildren. Protect your own children and grandchildren as we have to help the world become a better place. We live in a society that acknowledges the mistakes made in the past, accepting those who have proven to change. My life holds no secrets, and everyone in my office feels your pain and has seen these email strings, for I don't filter my own emails. They know me for the man that I am and not the mistakes of a 12-year-old who learned to recognize the cycle and break the cycle as many of us cousins did. He keeps saying like 12 years old. It was a cycle. Like I wasn't the only one. It happened to me. All of my cousins were doing it. I'm really trying to shift the blame here. Well, okay. She said in the interview that I watched, she said, why now is, she saw what speaking out did to Jarrett's sister. Jarrett's sister is completely like shunned from the family and has been for many years. And even though she doesn't have a lot to do with her family, she was not completely shunned from the family. A little bit, like she don't have a super close relationship with the family. But like where she was invited to like, grandma and grandpa's funeral, Jarrett's sister didn't talk to her mom for like 2 years up until her grandpa passed. Like Jarrett's sister literally was kicked out of the family. So she was kind of scared to come forward. So she just never had anything to do with him. And she didn't know about how he was perceived to be some hero. She said when she saw that thing on Facebook, and saw how everyone was perceiving him to be some hero, knowing that he wasn't. She said it made her ill. It made her super mad. And the first thing that she did was she emailed him. She found an email. She searched AWP, got an email to their business, and emailed him out of anger. And then she said, first it was out of anger, but then once there was this back and forth, she thought, oh my God, if I can get him to admit this in emails, from now on, if it comes up with my mom and she says, oh my God, you're just being dramatic, I could say, no, I'm not. Here's the proof. Or if they call me prima donna, because she said a lot of times if she brought it up, that's what they would say. Oh my God, you're just being dramatic. That didn't happen. Or it didn't happen the way that you said it happened. Or you're just being prima donna. They didn't really believe her. They didn't take her seriously. So then she started thinking more along the lines of, let me get proof. Let me have this back and forth correspondence with him, get him to acknowledge what he did, and then I'll have the proof. I put myself in her position, and I think if I was to ever find out that the whole world, or like 2 million people, saw my abuser as some sort of hero, I would speak out against him, because I want the world to know he is not a hero. He is sick. So I get it. Also, she did say she's not going after him civilly. She's not suing him. She went to the police, told the police this is what he did. And the police picked up charges against him. They're pursuing the charges. She's not getting money out of this, at least, and I will say, not yet. She has not said that she has any intention to do so. Because on her interview, Icket Mel did ask her, do you have the money to fund this? Like, do you have lawyers? Are you going to need lawyers? And she says, no, I don't need lawyers, because I'm not suing him or anything. I'm not going after him civilly. I went to the police about what he did to me. That is against the law. So they are moving forward with charges. It's nothing that I have to do anymore except be a witness. I don't need an attorney. It's just like if somebody, comes to your house and beats you up, and you call the police, you say, hey, they beat me up. You don't necessarily have to have a lawyer, because the police is going to arrest them for beating you up. It's not, and you're not going to get money or anything out of that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, well, I guess unless you sue. But she is saying, like, I'm not suing. So for all the people that's like, oh, she's coming at him now that he's, some big YouTuber and he's got all this money, she's like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not even pursuing that. Now, if she changes her mind and she pursues that later, I just know right now she's not. You know what I'm saying? They know me for the man that I am, and not the mistakes of a 12-year-old who learned to recognize the cycle and break the cycle, as many of us cousins did. You are younger and not ready to accept my apology and recognize the steps we made for future generations to protect them. I hope you can one day find forgiveness and peace. Feel free to have any last words, for I will not respond to any further attacks as to my character today based upon those actions as a youth. Should you desire a healthy adult conversation as to the past, I'm open to helping you through the acceptance and growth that many of us face and have dealt with. That is so condescending. As someone, I'm sure anybody in here that was the victim of, being raped, SA'd, could you imagine your abuser talking to you like that? Like, oh, well, if you feel like you want to forgive and you want to grow up and do the right thing, just reach out then. Like, what? I would be so mad. Here's the rest of that. Oh, this is something that blows me away as well. If you have not done so already, I may suggest reaching out to blank and lean on her for guidance, as one closer to your age who within the family has gone through this with us. So he's telling her, go talk to your other cousin who was also abused and who has chosen the path of forgiveness. Go talk to her. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, is she one of his abusers? Like, did he abuse her and they have forgiven each other? Like, what is he saying here? Either way, he is saying, go talk to your cousin who was abused and she's accepted, like, an apology, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure your relationship with Aunt Blank or your mother, but I suggest leaning on them as well, for they've experienced much of the same in their youth. Sincerely, Jared. The person that he refers to as Blank would be my cousin and one of his previous victims prior to me. He referred me to her So that way she could help me learn how to forgive him. Not to mention, unprovoked by me, she contacted me a few days after those emails happened and tried to convince me, but all of this is not as bad as I see it. Holy crap! Cousin, Jared's cousin. You cannot call one of the other victims and say, hey, it's really not that bad. Maybe it's not that bad to you, but it's definitely that bad to her. That's just mind blowing. So she said, let's do math here. I was 9 or 10 when living in Utah, and you forced me to have sex with you on the bathroom floor upstairs. You were 6 years or so older than me. So that makes you older than 12. In Las Vegas at Grandma and Grandpa's house, you were living there and you had your own car, a Volkswagen Beetle, and was driving it when it ran. So please stop making it sound as if you were some young child during the time you were molesting me. Maybe you started that young with others, but as you're not willing to face but as you are not willing to face your wrongdoing in a proper fashion, then that is on you and you alone. Anyone who supports you and your sick delusional fantasy for forgiving yourself for the pain and suffering you caused and willingly and knowingly caused not only a child but your own family member, but I do appreciate your admitting it all in writing. And he said, "You're welcome. I hope it helps the healing process." Here's the thing, from my understanding, they're saying that he was okay with admitting it in writing because he thought there was a statute of limitation and that she could not press charges. But that's not entirely true. The law was changed recently. Let me get back to my inbox. Or let me get all these off of here. Okay, so the statue. Uh, so Utah just lifted the statute of limitations in 2017, so victims of SA can press charges against their abusers. All right, let's see if it'll let y'all guys see this. This is just the statue. So Utah state legislator, injury or illness means either a physical injury or illness or a psychological injury or illness, a psychological. Well, here's the first part of it. This is the one that's really important, this second part. Perpetrator means an individual who has committed an act of sexual abuse. Sexual abuse means attempted acts of sexual intercourse, sodomy, or molestation by an adult directed towards a child. Victim means an individual who is intentionally or negligently sexually abused. It does not include individuals who claims are derived through another individual who are sexually abused. A victim may file a civil action against a perpetrator for intentional or negligent sexual abuse suffered as a child at any time. A victim may file a civil action against a non-perpetrator for individual or negligent sexual abuse suffered from a child within 4 years after the individual attains the age of 18 years. So basically, they lifted the statute to where now you can't press charges. So when she called uh, a detective to talk to a detective about this, she didn't know that this statute had been changed, right? She didn't know that, right? So when she called a detective and said, listen, here's what happened, and he admitted it in an email, and I want justice. I want some form of justice. I don't know what you guys can do. She said she really didn't know if she would even get justice. She didn't know if they would say, oh, it's been too long. It is what it is, you know. She got the call back sometime later telling her that they were going to, go forward with charges on him. And she said that she cried, she jumped up and down, she was happy. Let's see. I have a bunch of notes. I want to make sure I go over all of them. Jared's sister is also one of his victims, and she has a few posts on her Facebook account where she talks about it, and her experience with him is terrible. Like, now she does say go back to the cousin. So there was also something, and I didn't see it a while ago, where there was an email where it's talked about how he sodomized her, and he ended up giving her a yeast infection, and she didn't know like what was going on, but her parents found like white stuff in her panties and got mad at her because they thought that she had been doing something, I guess. And I think that must be when she told her mom, and then he admitted to it, and her mom like hugged him, was like, "Oh, it's okay." But at first, literally, she was getting in trouble because he literally sodomized her, then you know went in the other way. God, this is so graphic, and it ended up giving her a yeast infection, and she was young. She was literally anywhere from 9 to 14. Sodomized her, you guys. I mean, he sodomized her. Um, that's what I say. If it can be proven in court, then there shouldn't be any statutes of limitation on child abuse at all. Um, Here's the thing: when children are assaulted like this, are they really going to stand up and say, "Oh, my cousin, my brother, my blah 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 did X Y Z to me"? They're not going to. You know when they might do it? When they get older, when they become adult. That's when they may speak out and say something. But unfortunately, in a lot of states, it's too late. They can't do anything because the statute of limitation. So they definitely need to change that. But he gave her a yeast infection. Stuff was found in her underwear by her mom, and her mom like accused her of doing something that she didn't do. So, anyways, sister was his sister was also one of his victims. Let me go to. I literally stayed up till 2 o'clock this morning getting all of these screenshots in order, and saved them to my computer. And now I don't know how to show them from my computer. Okay.
Babe, if you want to share screen or pictures, you can share that monitor.
And I know how to share the monitor. They just don't pop up. It's fine. See, if I
Okay.
do that,
All
it
right.
doesn't
Well,
share.
share that window. So it
That's
should.
what I'm saying. I know how to do it, but it just doesn't share it. It doesn't like it'll share what's behind it, but it don't share that photo.
Yeah, that's why you want to share the window instead of the monitor or the
It doesn't give me the option.
It would be under. So like where you go to choose and it says what kind of source you want to add. So it's gonna be
Image,
maybe. I'm not sure, but you have to
no,
select the right one.
no, that's not right.
Existing source.
I don't find it on here anyways.
Is it? What are you opening it up through? The photo app?
No, it was
Is it in your email?
yeah, I think it's in my email. I think I could share it from my email.
No,
Let me see.
you need to share your window.
I think I could share my email. It's when I save pictures to the computer another way. Cancel.
Well, it's all about whatever source you select. So you can share that whole monitor over there. Everything that's on that.
See, when I
screen.
try to share what I just had popped up, this pops up.
Well,
It's just a blank.
let's do it
photo,
like
but
this. Then.
hold on, I just want to do this, and then we'll work on that later when we're not on a live stream. Because I don't want to muddy this up with trying to figure out the computer. Like, I'm already been on for an hour, and I don't want to go through trying to fix that while I'm on a live stream.
All right.
Thank you though. We'll get it later. Okay, so this is his sister who has spoken out. She has come out. I'm not doxing her or anything. But yesterday she said, feel like I'm living with a target on my back, but I'm used to it. Been standing up for what's right my whole life while others are put on pedestals for doing harm to others. I appreciate the person that is standing up for what's right, as well as I hope this will protect innocent children. We weren't protected, but we're trying to help others. And in case you are not aware, yes, this is my brother. I changed my name to my real name on Facebook a couple months ago, so it will be easier to get a hold of me due to this. Um, but this is what she shared. When I first went to her page, this was like her story. Karma is coming around tenfold. So glad I've been a good person because when karma catches up with me, I'm going to have a sweet life. So I looked at her page, and what, from my understanding, she was basically kicked out of the family at a pretty young age because she outed Jared as, abusing her, sexually abusing her. I saw where she called other people, like her mom and dad, and she said it in a way like, oh, they took me in because I didn't have parents. So she just become like her best friends, become like her brothers and her sisters and her, her mom and her dad. And she said at some point that, she did like, Jared was a brother. So at some point after this happened, there was a few years where she still like felt like I don't know, like that brother sister relationship, and she felt like she needed to like appease him. I don't know. So a lot of times the trouble that he got into in like 93, 92, she said I was right there with him. Hey, White Boy Lockdown Radio. Hey, hey, hey. It is wild. It is so wild. I hope we get answers. So she said I was actually right there with him in a lot of the trouble that he got into because I was like trying to appease him a lot of the time. And then she come out with it, got kicked out of the family, and had a lot of problems. Both of the girls say they had a lot of problems with trust, self-worth. She says that in just the past couple of years or so, she's gotten to where she's confident in herself again and she loves herself again. And then this kind of comes around. But she posts this, and I just grabbed a few of her posts that I thought would. Oh well. Disclaimer: content below is not for if you get offended. I don't give a. She's very brass in the way that she speaks, but she's a comedian, from my understanding. She's a comedian. So that's not one that I wanted to show you guys right now. Let me go. Okay, so she was disabled for a while. She had some health issues, and then she said somehow magically her doctor said, "Oh, you're not disabled anymore," and she stopped withdrawing like I don't want to say if it was Social Security or disability, but she was receiving a check for a disability, and then all of a sudden she was fine, fine enough to work, so she went to work, and she would I don't know if she was like a Uber or a whatever, but she delivered something, packages, food, something along the lines. She said there would be times where she would get an order to deliver for Jared L. And she knew where he lived, so she always knew when it was her brother. She said every time she had to deliver a package to her brother, she would screenshot the ticket and send it to her kids and say, "This is where I'm going in case something happens to me," which is crazy. When I heard her say that, I thought, whoa, this is more serious than we thought. If she felt like she needed to let her kids know ahead of time, "Hey, I'm going to deliver at your uncle's house. If you guys don't hear from me again, check him first." You know what I'm saying? Like, that is so crazy that she would literally screenshot it and say, "This is where I'm at." But anyway, she talks about one of the last times she delivered an order to him. So normally, like I said, she knew his house. But this time she said, "I got an order today to deliver for Jared L. on the outskirts of Redmond, Oregon." So this was a different address than normal, right? So she didn't know for sure that it was him because this was not the address that she knew to be his. She said delivery instructions said go through green gate and go to the house. When I pulled up to the electric gate, it started closing. So I parked, got out of the vehicle with the order, and I saw a man in the distance walking up the driveway. It was my older brother, Jared, who started screaming, "F you." I don't really know how they say it. I listened to this video and I heard how they pronounced it a million times. But I don't remember it. It's not Jessica. F you, sister. I'm just going to call her sister because I don't want to mispronounce her name. "No, Jared, you can't F me anymore, you psycho piece of crap. You knew who had your order and was driving all the way out here. Don't be mad at me for supporting people who want to put you away. Be mad at yourself. Be mad at yourself for the things that you have done to others. It might have been the first one. I might have been the first one you sexually assaulted, but I was far from the last. You are not a hero like others may think. You're a narcissistic piece of crap that's about to go down for your actions. I'm not afraid of you like others are. You can't, I think it said hurt me anymore. But so this was actually after he found out that his cousin was going to pursue, charges, and that she was kind of speaking up as well. So he finds out that, they're pursuing this, and he places an order, and she said he wouldn't know who was delivering his order. Somehow he would get something back saying like, oh, your delivery will be so and so. She says, I got a pretty unique name. I'm the only one in town. So he knew that it was going to be her delivering the order. And she said he actually contacted her employer, which she said she contacted the employer. She said she pulled over and called her employer and said, listen, this just happened. The delivery was for my brother. We don't have a relationship. And he started throwing all kind of F-bombs at me, la-di-da-di-da. And she, told what happened. But basically, he called in and lied and said it was reversed, that sister started hurling out insults and F-U. So she was fired from her job. She was literally fired from her job, and she feels like he did that on purpose. If one of the mods, okay, I'll go do that really quickly. Give me just a second, guys. Also, get those likes up. We got almost 300 people in here, and we only got 112 likes. So I'm going to pin my email really quickly while I'm doing that. If you guys don't mind, get those likes up. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Over the weekend, the weirdest thing happened to me. I hit 70,000 subscribers over the weekend, and then last night I went down somehow. I literally lost like 70 subscribers in like a matter of minutes. It was the weirdest thing. Okay, so this is a post from September 14th where she talks about losing her job. Don't be mad at me for supporting people who want to put you away. Be mad at yourself for the things you've done to others. I might have been the first one you sexually assaulted, but I was far from the last. You are not a hero like others think. You're a narcissistic piece of crap that's about to go down for your own actions. I'm not afraid of you like others are. You can't brainwash me like you have done to others. You made your bed, and now it's time for you to toss and turn and lose some sleep over your actions. It's only a matter of time that the truth of Jarrett Leisek is revealed. Thanks for showing your face today. Now we know where to send the police. Got him. Someone said, interesting. I did one more delivery that day and then went home. The next day when I went to clock in at work, I was not able to. I was fired. He made a false report to my employer. Thanks, Jared. I make twice as much at my new job, and they are willing to protect me, unlike the job you had me fired from. So the thing is Jared literally has millions of dollars. So one of his ex-employees, I guess you could say, called in to Icket Mel's channel, and said, Anthony called into Icket Mel's channel and said that Jared had a budget of like $1 million for this coming year, right? He's making money. And yet he's getting his sister, who is basically disabled, fired from her job? What the heck? Here's another one. August 10th. First message I received this morning was from the son of the first adult that raped me. It seems as if the family is getting scared, and now they're trying to slander me and scare me into keeping my mouth shut again. It's not going to work. Our family is sick, and I'm not a kid that you can throw to the wolves anymore. I'm a wolf now, and I will not back down. Someone said, and remember, if they can't beat you, they will try to drag you down. I feel like Joan of Arc running through my veins. I always have and always will. My life is in danger at this point, and I'm not scared. I will die a martyr if that is in my path. Y'all, she literally like says things. What I'm saying is, if he has the money to put out a budget, to have a budget for $1 million, then how much is he raking in? He's living comfortably. It's not like he's broke. I mean, how can someone that is living comfortably and afford the things that he can afford for his channel? I mean, I have a channel, but there's no way I can put that much money into my channel because I don't bring in that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? I do want to say that too. All apologies because I'm going to touch on Anthony calling into Ikamel's channel. Also, all of this comes with um, the understanding that we have to take this for we don't know these people. We can make up our own mind if we believe these people. I don't know Anthony personally. He sounded believable, but I don't know him. And heck, I've had friends that sounded believable, and years down the line, I find out they're not believable. So we're gonna go over Anthony, but anything that's said, this is just allegations at this point. So she literally says, "My life is in danger." Like that is wild. That she feels like her life could be in danger because she's going up against her brother. If you have been sexually assaulted by Leisek or Juhaz, you are not alone. Utah has lifted their statute of limitations. Time to speak up. Hashtag Leisek Live. Me too. I'm not scared. Juhaz lines CNN. She tagged CNN. Um, we come from a family that will protect the perpetrators and lift them up to on a pedestal while shunning the victims. It stops now. Girlfriend. That's terrible. I just got a text from my mother that my grandfather passed away. Really? At 1 a.m. At 1 a.m. in the morning? I've been trying to get a hold of my mother for the last couple of years with no luck. I was kicked out of the family at 14 years old for being raped. I was a perfect little Mormon kid who was top in academic sports and had tremendous musical abilities. In third grade, my competitive nature turned into an academic competition with one of the other top athletes. We raced book through book, and I was already taking college courses at the beginning of middle school. There was no stopping us. I was the type of kid that everyone wanted. Ended up on the streets of Vegas with nowhere to turn and ended up on the streets of Eugene selling drugs with a bunch of bikers who took me in after being raped again. At 15, I pulled off one of the biggest heists Eugene has probably ever had. I definitely went into survival mode and adapted to my surroundings so well it made the chameleons jealous. I will say it again. Really, a text at 1 a.m. telling me my grandfather is dead when I have not been a part of the family for over 30 years. I have not been allowed in family homes. I've not been allowed in families' lives. I've not been allowed at family weddings. I've not been allowed at family funerals. I have tried and tried to be a part of this family, but have to make the decision had to make the decision to not put myself through any more self torture. The last time I saw my mother, I asked her if she would sign a paper to make sure that I had a 72-hour mental evaluation since everyone in my family thinks I'm crazy. She told me that she would never do that because she was afraid that they would never give me back. She only had a few bites of her sandwich, then said that I was part alien. What type of aliens are we? What planet are we from? And then she left. I've been more suicidal this last week than I have been in years, and this is a reminder that I still have no one to turn to. However, I've learned that being suicidal is not a bad thing. It just means that I can live my life with no fear. Anyone that has a problem with that can F off. I feel like that's what this family did. They like gaslit these victims into thinking they were crazy. You know? Here's the text. Your grandma passed away at 10 p.m. Hugs. Love, mom. Well, you guys didn't see that. Literally, that's so wild. Your grandpa passed away at 10 p.m. Hugs, love, mom. She ain't heard from her mom in years. It would have been nice to have him in my life all these years. It would have been nice to have you in my life. Sorry for your loss, and it sucks it took so long for you to text me about anything. He's been on my mind the last few days, so I figured he had already passed away a few days ago. I'm assuming I will not be allowed to the funeral either, so I'm not even going to ask if I can come. Have a good night, and for what it's worth, hugs back. It would be nice if you could send me a few pictures of him through text. Her mother never responded. And she did say, she said, of course, no response, no pictures. My message back may seem cold, but not as cold as the one I wanted to send. I try to be nice as possible as she just lost her father. Um, I took a lot of screenshots, some that probably I probably won't even really go over. I mean, her page is um, public. I'm no longer LDS, as I was always denied a temple recommend for not fully believing in the repentance process. There is no way that anyone can convince me that if I go through the repentance process, I can walk this earth as if I never sinned that sin. So if I punch the guy in the face and break his nose, then go through the process of the repentance process, I'll be told that I can walk this earth as if that sin never happened. I believe that will make me a liar. What's done is done and always will be. That is one of the reasons I was kicked out of the family. The police got involved, and evidently, in the Mormon religion, the bishop should have been called. Then the perpetrator has the option of going through a repentance process so he can walk this earth telling everybody that he's not a rapist. Everyone thinks Mormons are perfect, but they are just perfect liars. Not my cup of tea. Not trying to offend you personally, but that is my personal opinion about the Mormon religion. Um, I have family that's Mormon, so once again, I will say that's not, try to be respectful of everyone's opinion. Um, so here she talks about someone showed up at her house to like jump on her son because he mistaken her son to be someone else, and the guy attacked her son, and she ended up having to fight back. And she did say thank you to my older brother, Jarek Leisek, who practiced judo and wrestled on me my entire childhood. Thank you to my father for teaching me to be a survivalist and a soldier. So anywhere where she mentioned him, I tried to get a screenshot of it. This is a Mother's Day post where she does not shout out her real mother, but family and friends that become her mother, who become a mother. Like I said, this one, Bev, thank you for taking me in and showing me how mothers should treat their children. Deborah, I love you so much, Mama. You're one of the strong women I ever met. Proud to be a baby girl. You taught me to stand. That's not her real mom, from my understanding. So all these women are women that took on that motherly role when she was kicked out of the family home. This she talks about. I'm so sick of piece of crap moms. If I remember correctly, my mom kidnapped my brothers and I. Pretty sure she knew it was a poor decision. By the time the plane ride was over, as she's too selfish to care for and love a child, pretty sure she surrendered us back to our father in less than a week. So anything that really talked about their childhood, I did try to grab because I just thought it might could explain the family dynamic a little bit. Now, Anthony, so Icked Mail went live with this first, from my understanding, and I did link his video below. I also linked the video where they did the interviews, the hero and then his sister. But Anthony called in to say that he worked with AWP. During COVID, he got his like scuba license and all of that, and he basically emailed looking for work a few different people, specifically like YouTubers that did this type of work. He first worked with AWP on the Bill Simmons case in 2020 in Tennessee, and after that, he ended up getting offered a job. He signed on for a full-time job, signed a contract, non-disclosure agreement, everything. He was going to be paid a salary. 2 weeks before he was to start working for AWP, he put in his 2-week notice with his employer. And then he contacted Jarrett to get his info on his start date and his travel itinerary and all of that. And at which Jarrett told him, oh, we're not going to be needing you. We're going to move a different direction. Now, like I said, this is, I don't know Anthony, and I'm not calling him a liar. Just, you don't know what the truth is until, sometimes you never know what the truth is. But in this case, this is Jarrett's side of the story. He says he had literally put in his 2-week notice to quit his job and had this thought that he was going to get a job with AWP. He already signed his non-disclosure agreement. He already signed on for a full-time job and everything. Signed a contract and everything. And then 2 weeks before that, he calls, and Jarrett did not call him to say, hey, we're not going to need you. Jarrett waited until he called. And then Jarrett said, we're moving in a different direction. He said it was shortly after that. His start date was supposed to be on September 17, 2020. He says this also circles back to why Sam quit, because Sam was not getting paid. He says that's why Jared really likes all the volunteers that come in to help him. Sam and Dan both quit. Dan was the first and original cameraman. He did filming, editing, and a lot of the social media work. Sam is Sam the Adventure Man. He has a YouTube channel as well. And recently, Sam purged his entire channel of any AWP collabs. He just wants to distance himself away from AWP. Now, Anthony did say he was told about Jared, about these allegations. Jared did say, listen, you may hear some things about me. I did some things to family members, but he really watered it down a lot and did not give him like the full scoop of what happened. So a watered down version of what he did. He did say he seemed kind of like a nice person. He was the same person off camera that he was on camera, except he cursed a little bit more off camera. But he did seem like a nice person when they did work together. You know, obviously, after everything happened, he felt like, obviously, Jared was kind of a shady person because Jared did not reach out to him to say, hey, we don't need you. Don't put in that 2-week notice with your job. Anthony ended up losing that job because he had put in his 2-week notice. They had already, I guess, hired someone else to start, training them. In the end, Anthony, unfortunately, is unemployed at this time. He says he's looking for a lawyer to go after Jared because he literally signed on as for a full-time job, a contract, non-disclosure agreement, everything, and then 2 weeks ahead of time, before he was supposed to start, he calls Jared, and Jared says, "Whoop, don't need you." He said it was shortly after that the Kail Ronnie case happened. So it is mind-blowing, you guys. Mind-blowing. November 30th is when he has to go before the court. Oh, let me read this. So, on the interview that they did on Down the Rabbit Hole, she talks about how she posted her survivor story to a Facebook account, a survivor account. So, like, there's, like, accounts for SA survivors, and she posted her story on there. Reddit people found her, contacted her. She says she wants nothing but justice. She's not seeking money or anything like that. She says she had no idea about Jared and his business and his YouTube channel, but one day she was on Facebook scrolling, came across that story, saw his face. She saw red. She found his website and emailed. They asked her, how does she feel with people trying to discredit her story? She says she has lived with that her entire life, so it's nothing new. They asked her, does she have to be at court on November 30th? She says she doesn't have to be as of yet. They told her she didn't have to be, but if something changes and she has to go, she will be there. Icked Mail asked her, does she need help with legal fees? She said no, because this is a state pressing charges or seeking charges, not her. If she goes after him civilly, she would need an attorney, but she isn't doing that. Icked Mail talked about Utah lifting the statute of limitations, and if that was what made her want to, go after him. And she said no, she actually didn't know that at the time. And no, I don't see Destiny's post. Okay. Thank you, Dee. So, they asked, when you was able to get Jared to confess on the emails, did that give you the push forward to press charges against Jared? And she said, yes, definitely. They asked, are there any other victims besides you and Jared's sister? She said, yes, there are, but those are their stories to tell and for them to decide if they want to come forward. Do you blame the Mormon church for the abuse? She said, only in the sense that they go by that forgive and forget mentality. How has it affected her? She says she has trust issues, was sad because she felt like she never really fit into the family and was never accepted. How did you react when the DA called you and told you they would be moving forward with charges? I was shocked. I didn't think that they would since it had been so long. Not going to lie, I cried and jumped up and down with happiness. Mel asked if her comments were really getting deleted. So there was a rumor that when she first started speaking out, somehow her comments were getting deleted off the internet. And she said, actually, yes, that did happen. And she understood that it was allegations, so that might be why the site was being cautious. But now her comments stay up. Chessie, I think is how they pronounce her name. She said she was shunned from the family when she outed Jared. The hero said since coming out, she has received some support from a few family members. Chessie explains that she was kicked out at a young age, the impact it had on her, and how she had just started believing she was a beautiful person. When she got the news that her cousin had come out, she knew she needed to share her story as well, because it's unfair that the whole world sees Jared as a hero when he really isn't. Cousin then says, growing up, she's seen how Chessie was shunned, and that basically kept all of the other cousins quiet. Chessie talks about delivering the stuff to Jared and how he had her fired. Um, so yeah, that's kind of a wrap of everything that's happened thus far, I believe. Like I said, I was up till 2 o'clock this morning trying to get all the information so I can give you guys the most updated version of what's taking place. The interview, I linked it below, as well as Iggy Mill's video is linked below. I will link the Reddit as well because you can see all the documents on the Reddit as well. So really quick, what do you guys think? This is, was Jared kicked out of the church? I don't think he stayed in the church. So from my understanding in the interview, what they talked about, it seems like Jared's dad was a part of the church and maybe his grandparents. Just because someone is excommunicated doesn't mean they cannot go to the church and they can't work their way back into the church and have it reversed. Yeah. I don't know much about it, but Sean does. Absolutely, Destiny. I thought she was R by him from 9, then again at 16 by the biker game, but I didn't hear about the third one. I think he would be found guilty. I'm definitely going to keep up with this, you guys. It is heartbreaking because, like I said, AWP was one of those channels when the Kylie Rodney situation happened. I kind of went down the rabbit hole with their videos and started watching a lot of them and really thought like these people are doing it. Like everything that they make, they put back into, this purpose, and they are literally giving families closure. But now finding this out, and it doesn't take away the good that they've done, because I bet if you ask Kylie Rodney's mom, how do you feel about Jared, she's going to be like singing his praises because he found her daughter, and it's going to be the same for many other people that he's brought them closure. But at the same time, it doesn't take away what he has done to the people that he hurt if this is true. More details will come out in court, yeah. His sister was just on the Pascal show. Oh, I got to find that so I can link it. Wow, that's terrible. But I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. We've been on for about an hour and a half, and I do have another live stream scheduled for about 30 minutes out. So I need to go tinkle, and Sean brought me something to eat. So I'm going to do that really quickly. But you guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Like I said, I'm going to keep up with this story. I'm going to be following this story every turn that it takes. I'm going to be here keeping up with it, and I'll bring that information to you guys, and we can go live and we can talk about it. And I'm disappointed. I'm so hurt and I'm disappointed. And when I think about my abuser, I'm like, there's no way he could change. You don't do that to people that is your family and you love, and then because you become a 40-year-old man, all of a sudden you're different. I just couldn't see it with him, so I don't really see it with, Jared, allegedly, if these allegations are true. Jared hasn't said anything about it yet, so he's not taking any responsibility for those emails, but he hasn't said that they're not his either. So if he comes out to say something, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But you guys, please do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button, because that really helps my channel by hitting that thumbs up button. Also, subscribing to the channel. Somehow over the weekend, in one day, I literally lost like 60 subscribers, and I don't know if it's YouTube unsubscribing people or if it's people really unsubscribing. I don't think people would really unsubscribe. I looked at my analytics, and I don't see any video where it's like, you lost this many people. Every video I'm gaining, so it doesn't really make any sense. But you guys, please do me a solid on your way out. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure, if you want to share this video, please feel free to do that. Also, come back here in 30 minutes. We're going to do a Sister Wives recap. This situation for this episode of Sister Wives was a crazy one. Robin and Cody really gaslit the heck out of Christine. So we're going to talk about that. So you guys will be back here in about 30 minutes, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.